Hello, welcome to Get Into Market. This is a special one. Very excited about it. We have a special guest. This is Get Into Market, where the jobs are real, but the roles are negotiable. And boy, is that a fun topic that we're going to cover in depth this episode. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I was in my head just counting how many times you were going to say special and then Get Into Market all in the same time. So you're doing a good job. It's an SEO thing.
I'm trying to hit 10 of each in the first 5 minutes, so I'm getting there.
Nice. When you do there, will confetti come down, like the video effects?
If I do this properly, yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Good. Good.
Yeah, we should figure that out. We should get confetti poppers. You, John.
Yes, sir.
Because we're going to be super rude. Of course, we do this like dumb banter thing at the beginning of every episode. You went on a bicycle. Do you call it a cycling trip or a bicycling trip?
I don't think I have a good way to refer to it. I call it a bike trip.
Bike trip.
But then I always have to clarify cycling. And then that even isn't good enough. I have to say pedal biking. So I don't know what I should call it. Why do you ask?
How much spandex do you wear when you go on your
it's Lycra.
bike trip?
It's not spandex.
Lycra.
I'm very serious about our Lycra. There's a whole thing about what kit you wear, and you have to make sure the socks match and the bike has to match all of that. There's a whole thing there, and I'm embarrassed already talking about it. I didn't actually wear any this time around.
You have famously said helmets are for suckers. Yep. Is that still how you feel?
So I'm going to change the topic a little bit. This morning I went out to have some coffee. Yeah. I do that from time to time. And I went for a walk where I was, just kind of walked downtown a little bit. And I saw a guy that works at the coffee shop that I know on an e-bike. And so I stopped him. Then he was working. And I was like, hey, man, I thought I saw you this morning. And he said, yeah, I'm still waiting for my full face helmet to come in. And I said, well, why do you need one? Like, I'm glad you wear one, whatever. And he's like, oh, because my bike goes 36 miles an hour. So his e-bike goes 35 miles an hour. 36 is a funny number. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, dude, you might want to get a big helmet. That sounds like a great idea. I didn't know they went that fast.
I mean, but, okay, so I know a little bit about bicycles.
And Queen.
They can go much faster than 36 miles, like especially a road bike, right? Like easily downhill, especially. I mean, like, do you have a full face helmet?
No.
What's the difference? Why does he need more security than you do?
Generally speaking, I'm going 17 miles an hour on a road, not 35 miles an hour. But like pro riders, I think they're probably doing
that's as fast as your kids can push you with your training wheels, right? They're just behind you uphill. Already feel terrible about Jenn having to deal with this.
Go ahead. Save yourself.
We have as our special guest today, Jenn Silvestre, who is someone that we don't work with directly as much, but we were super excited to get onto the podcast. Officially, your role is Business Unit Operations Lead. Tell us a little bit about how you got to our current company, which is Insight Software. And then we'll get into a little bit about why I don't think that is the most accurate title for what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So how I got to ISW, I would say kind of like giving the classic, like, where did I start with my career? Started in market research, started with entertainment companies, but then shifted to doing market research for tech companies. So a lot of the work they were doing was really interesting, looking at like the different stakeholders or, the way they thought about how they were either marketing or pitching new stuff into the market with the products was really cool. And so for me, I wanted to kind of move away from agency style into more tech proper. So I went into a startup, so market research tech startup. So again, similar wheelhouse, but then it was, again, the way I thought about it was quite different versus, doing things with a bunch of third-party softwares or proprietary software. Now really figuring out how do I speak to the teams like, hey, why do you need research? More of that client success, I'd say, environment of, speaking to clients and just make sure, how do you sell our software? With any startup, you change roles and hats. And so I got to see a good chunk of like the commercial side of it, which was really cool. Then I decided I wanted to go to business school, take a break, but still wanted to, again, learn more and think about like, how do you do tech in different geographies now? And so with that, it was kind of coming back into tech where specifically more from an internal perspective. So I enjoy working with teams internally, see how things shifted and move on versus like, hey, here's this project. I hope it worked well. I don't know what the outcomes are. Now it's like, no, I actually do. And again, building that longer term relationship.
You were basically customer facing with the agency and entertainment. And then was business school with the intent of kind of moving back into product and facing internally? Like, what was the decision making for moving internally as opposed to customer facing?
It's kind of a mix. You just have the client stuff you're focused on, but you're building stuff from scratch. So you have to work with the different teams, and everyone's figuring it out at the same time. And so for me, I really enjoyed those conversations where someone's pulling you into a conference room like, hey, I would love your perspective on X, Y, Z. Let's try this thing out. If it doesn't work, great. We at least tried it. And so it was a lot of that building towards kind of we're already all on the same goal. We don't have competing priorities from that perspective, where sometimes with a client, what they want and what you want may not always align. And sometimes there will be friction against that, versus when you're speaking with someone internally, it's kind of like, hey, we are all on one team. We do want this company to do better, because if I do better, you do better. For me, it was more so having that cohesive environment, and internally, I think is the best way for me to have gotten it. And so that was where I was focusing post business school, where I was like, hey, I think once you've done a good gamut of client facing, it's whether or not it's for you or not. And so for me, it's very much like, I'm good. I don't need to do it again, but I do again want that collaborative environment. So for me, it was making sure that the role that I was coming back into from internal spot, even if it would be an individual contributor, it still allowed me to interact with a bunch of folks.
So you did an MBA. I have not. I don't think, John, you haven't either.
You know the answer to that question.
I can tell when I talk to you that you have it. It's very obvious. Do you think that the value of MBAs has changed a little bit over the past, even like decade? Like, would you advise people differently on MBAs now, on like if they were considering it, versus what you would have said maybe 5 years ago?
I definitely would have, because I also think it's at what state you're going for. So when I was applying, I think at the time the average for someone in the U.S. was going to MBA 26.
Oh, age.
Yeah, the average to start was, I think, at the time 26.
Wow, that's so young. Okay.
Yes, it shifted post-pandemic, but Europeans started around 29. And so for me, I was well on that timeline where it's like, yep, I'll have people who have been in the work environment a lot longer, so what you're looking for is going to be quite different. And so I think for the U.S., going in that young, I wouldn't say it was a waste. Like, it's great to pivot, but I don't think you're gonna fully gain, like, put everything into perspective just because you haven't gotten far in your career. But I also think in terms of that value prop of like, hey, I'm gonna get a high paying job, it's gonna pay off itself. That is, I don't think, no longer the case. It's a lot, especially with the job market. So I think it's just more, if you're going to go for it, it's less about, the ROI in terms of financials, but more so, the connections in terms of, what can you learn from other folks versus, hey, maybe down the line they'll get me a job. I don't think people should be going in for that. I mean, because you can network in different ways without it, and you don't need a degree to do that. But I think if it's more so that they're going to force me to do it in a particular environment that is quite different from me, then I think that's worth it.
Part of the value for MBA for you is just that connection, kind of different ideas and different connection to what the other groups are doing or what this might be for them. Because, a part of what we wanted to talk to you about and learn more about is your expertise in 4D chess. And I like this idea, and he defined it, or at least we've been talking about it, where just this general curiosity and what's happening someplace else in the org can and will help me with what I need to do. And so just operating at that other level. Nate, you said that her title doesn't seem to really imply the value that she has. Do you have a better one? What's the alt title? We're going to rename your title, Jenn.
Oh, well, yeah. So officially you're business unit operations lead, but like a much more accurate description would be like chief of staff for the BU, for your GM. And John, the plural of chief of staff is chiefs of staff.
What did I say?
No, I was just messing with you. I don't know.
I was like, did I say something different?
It's like surgeons general, attorneys general.
Chief of staffs. I own a lot of staffs. I do a lot of walking. I'm the owner of them.
Jenn, does that do you feel more like that is kind of how you would describe that role to folks?
I would probably agree with that, where I think because it changes, I think, throughout the year and throughout the period in terms of where you're doing more operations focus, or where you're able to, again, come together, work with the teams on thinking a bit more strategically there. So I think it's a very great, all-encompassing for, I do a bunch of different things at a bunch of different times in alignment with, my BU or my GM strategy. I think that's kind of the best way to put everything in a bucket.
When people ask, and I'm sure they do, what you do, how do you describe it?
I mean, that's difficult. So I'm glad you brought up the chief of staff bit. I think my default is I call it herding cats, where I have, again, if I have a backyard and my cat's hidden in, 5 different places, I need to find them. I just get them aligned to what I need to be done, whether I'm you need to get back in the house or it's feeding time or anything like that. I think that's kind of the biggest thing I do is just if there's something that needs to be done, again, whether it's figuring out strategy or, deliverables for the board, it's around how do we get everyone aligned to, committing to the timelines, making sure we're producing, the best output that we can, and that it kind of reads end to end in a way that, again, everyone is bought into, is aligned to, and there's little to no miscommunication around, hey, wait a minute, I thought we were going this direction. It's no, we, again, are aligned in the same way.
Can you give examples of what are your tricks? What is in your playbook, your go-to for accomplishing that? What are the things that you're every single time when I have to work with these clowns, these are the basics to get to that alignment? Communication, as everyone says, is key for any relationship, including work ones. I try to be crystal clear on what I'm asking for. I make myself pretty available. I'm if you have any questions, reach out to me, whether it's calendar, Slack. Some people just call me on Teams. Even they haven't checked my calendar, just she's green. Let me just try it out. She's waiting for my call.
Yeah. So I think, I would say those are the 2 main things. And then, just making sure I have that constant connection with them where, again, I didn't leave them alone for a week or a month or 2. It's no, I'm still here checking. Do you need anything? Can I bring other people to help? Or if there's something they're looking for, I can go chase for them instead of them doing productivity. So again, removing a little bit of blockers, but making it easy for people to work and kind of deliver on the things that, I may need or someone else may need.
One of the things that stuck out to me about what you were saying is understanding them and kind of how they work. But a piece of that is the folks that you're talking to and some of the meetings that you're a part of, because you work so closely with a general manager of a business unit, is at a different altitude than where they might be operating in their day-to-day. And so you have just a different line of sight on some of the other priorities organizationally that are happening. How do you get into their frame of thinking to kind of make it so that what you need from them, they see as valuable too?
When I'm talking to different departments or different people with different backgrounds, okay, I kind of have an idea of what you do. So the questions I'm going to ask are not quote unquote dumb questions, even though there's no such thing as a stupid question. But for everyone's hold on,
there's a couple.
Yeah, exactly. So it's how do we avoid those and start getting into, again, I think you're talking about priorities, where it's okay, I have an idea of what is important to you, whether if it's client success, it's retention is your key thing, making sure that what you have the tools you need to do that, and particularly with retention, whether or not your conversations are having 3 months. So knowing the business beats of the departments really helps, so that I know if I'm asking for something, am I asking at a wrong time? Probably. If it's end of quarter, I shouldn't ask sales anything. It's you got to do what you got to do. I'll catch you at the top of it, maybe a week or 2 after the dust has settled down. But and then keeping them, updated and, again, informed, where it's why am I asking for this? How did this impact, again, the company as a whole, or our specific business unit? So it's a lot of, again, just making sure people understand why, but also from their perspective, I'm not just bugging them to bug them, or again, coming in at a very inconvenient time where they need to be lasered in and focused, just because they also have a different way of being compensated, where the stuff I'm asking for does nothing for you, because that's not how you make your money. Right. But again, if it's going to impact you eventually, we want to make sure that we're, taking that into account, so that, hopefully it will help you make more money.
You are obviously very good at what you do. At least we get to see it and we get the benefit of that. And just kind of the things you're talking about, just a willingness, experience or otherwise, to jump in and find out what that world is like for somebody else, and then apply that toward the goal and what stuff we're doing. It feels like it lends itself to a personality type. So that's my question. Do you think there's a personality type of, this is the types of folks that end up being really good at this chief of staff type role?
Not thinking about it, probably, because I think people have to want to work with you.
Yeah.
So some people are a bit more, I'd say there's some people are very bit more ornery and like, they're a whiz at what they do, but we're not having a conversation. We're not doing like, quick banter or anything like that. It's like, hey, I need to get you what you need so you can do what you do best. But I think for something like this where it really kind of has to be a connector of sorts where, again, if someone can't do something, maybe I know someone else who might be able to get me, close to what I need, whether, something I can self-service, but you have to get people to want to talk to you or like enjoy chatting with you. So I think that definitely helps in terms of helping drive things a bit forward. We're like, oh yes, when they see my name, they're not like, oh my God, her again. Like that's the last thing you would want from a chief of staff where people are trying to avoid you. But a curiosity, again, just a little bit of pleasant attitude, a little bit of smile. Yeah. Like work is sometimes going to suck, but if you're doing it with a smile, it's like it sucks a little bit less. Yeah, and then I guess communication, just being very crisp and clear in communication. So everyone has to do it, but some people are not great at it. But for a role like this, it's key.
I think those are they translate so well to other roles too. Like that's a good baseline of skills. Like if you have those, you can probably be successful in a few different types of roles across an org. Yeah, that's really cool. I love the bit about curiosity. Like we've talked about curiosity a lot, but it does keep coming up, and it does seem like it's a soft skill that is undervalued or I guess maybe not probed enough in interviews. Like it'd be good to it'd be interesting to hear how many people get asked about that.
I think it's hard to ask in an interview about curiosity because people are like, yeah, I am. I think you get it based on how many questions they ask you back. Or they're like, I read this little small thing and hidden away on the website. Can you expand on it? So I think it's just the way that person comes back with either follow-up questions to your questions or very obscure, I don't say very obscure things, but sometimes those little details show that they went beyond than the first, 5 clicks.
The other question that I had for you earlier, Jen, that I want to ask. So communication's a big deal. You said hey, we just got to be clear and firm in what we decide. There implies in that there are situations that the decision hasn't been made, but you've had to represent. So my question is, what's a strategic decision you made for the organization without actually having that buy-in because you knew it was the right thing to do?
Oh my God.
Because you done it. You done it.
That is a great question. I think what I do best is getting people one-on-one just to, hey, I just want to talk about this topic. Like, what do you think? I'm thinking this. Does this make sense? You get, again, a bit of that buy-in. We're like, yeah, that does make sense. Then you go to the next person. You're like, great, I'm thinking about it this. Again, now you're starting to get, I think, again, the different perspectives where it's strengthening your argument. So when it comes time to a larger group, you already have consensus from a good chunk of the folks. And then you're like, wait, well, this is how it works for XYZ. What do you think? And then those people, everyone loves to kind of chime in a meeting sometimes. And so they'll chime in on behalf of, what they thought, because they've already been in that conversation. They have their own opinions that they can really deliver and all that. So I think it's pretty much I think if you can't do it in a group setting, going one by one before the group setting, I think is helpful, because then at that point you have enough consensus, but you also have people who have ideas and things they want to add on top of it. So again, it gives that cohesion of it's all of us who came up with this and we're all very much aligned and it fits within, again, all these different perspectives. And so I think that's kind of the way I go about it. It's more so one-on-one, a little stealth mode until a group setting.
So Jen, we do a session called Lessons Learned, where we talk about a lesson that we took away from this week or recently. We won't make you go first and put you on the spot. But John, how about you? What was your lesson learned this week?
So OpenAI just did, and they announced that they'll be doing apps, and so you can do apps. And so the stuff that I was reading and learning about, I suppose, was around the impact to OpenAI doing apps. So an ability to make apps that are agentic out of the gate will transform everything. And I was curious what your take on that is.
For me, I think with AI, I've been very much I want to see it first, just because there's always some kinks, even when they change language model. I think I was messing around with ChatGPT 5. I was like, no, I got to go back to the old one. So just to see how they're going to roll it out on a larger scale, and how people will break it, because I think that's usually what inevitably happens. Someone's going to really push it. Have they fixed it where it can tell how many R's are in strawberry or something like that? There's still some weird things that not kinked out all the way. So for me, I like to see it before I believe it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have something very like standard that can use in an everyday application, but I'm not sure about like the higher level stuff, that kind of the stuff that we work at ISW for.
Skeptical Jen, how do you feel, Nate? You think apps are going to shift?
I think they could. I guess the bigger question is like, kind of to Jen's point, it's like, what's the timeline? When does it get to the point where it's like enterprise scalable? Yeah. And I think the answer now is like, it's not, but the bigger question is like, it's probably going to, so when? So I think that'll be interesting, like a big question mark, I think, around sort of like, not so much whether or not it'll happen, but just kind of like when.
The thing that I probably learned out of that is I'm still feeling worried about the value of product management in an AI world. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'll carry that to the grave.
Yeah, they want you to. You're supposed to. Yeah. All right, Jen, do you have a lesson learned for this week?
I think a lesson learned for this week, probably for me, it's more personal, just kind of like taking a step back sometimes. You know, again, life is kind of like a set of balances and swings, and so for me it's very much like I need to refocus back in on my own personal life then kind of work, and sometimes you can bring a little of the stuff from work into your personal in terms of like the way you tackle things, and so that's for me where I was like, hey, I need a reset. It's again Q4 for everyone, but also like the year's almost over. The goals I had for, you know, I said I was going to do, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not happening, but how do I make something a little bit more realistic, or, you know, start my 2026 off in a good way? But for me, it's been thinking about how do I want to connect with folks more. Again, the classic, I want to work out more, I want to do these things. I'm like, clearly having a gym membership is not helping, so it's like, okay, what are the things I can do? Whether I'm like walking up and down the mall, doing window shopping, like figure out those alternatives.
Combining hobbies.
Exactly. 2 for 1, you know.
My lesson learned is have you either of you seen the movie Beethoven, the Charles Grodin St. Bernard movie? Okay.
Wait, hold on. 0 people. You are one of the weirdest people I know. 0 people would refer to Charles Grodin first when they refer to Beethoven. It's like the dog movie.
Yeah, the dog movie.
It's a classic Charles Grodin film. It's like classic Charles Grodin.
Jen, are you in my camp on this one?
Yeah, I'm with you. Once you said dog, I was like, oh, yes, I've seen him.
All right. Whatever. Charles Grodin's great in it. Love Charles Grodin. R.I.P. Dog movie. So I hadn't seen it in a long time. The plot of the movie, because my oldest was watching it, is they're trying to get Beethoven because they want to test a special type of bullet on his head, because he's a big dog with a big head, and like this lab is developing these new bullets that they're trying to test on Beethoven and other large dogs' head as like, is this bullet effective? Is that not crazy? That's a
insane.
Kids movie. It's a kids movie, and they're like, we need to test these bullets on dogs.
I didn't remember that as a plot.
Like they can't reboot. Like there's no way they can reboot it now because nobody's on board for a dog shooting movie. It's like we're trying to kidnap this dog so that we can shoot it like literally in the head because it's like a big Saint Bernard head.
The test might fail. That's a part of the whole plot. The test could fail. Then what?
We're trying to test out bullets on dogs. Like, that's so crazy. Only in the 90s.
Whew, what a time. That's wild.
God bless the 90s. Come back, 90s. We need more of those types of crazy movies.
We can make them.
Jen, thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. It has been so great. I would love to have you back because there's a couple things that we probably didn't get to that would be really fun to explore. Jen's amazing. You can find her on LinkedIn. We'll put that in the show notes. You can find Get Into Market every Tuesday, and we also post some of the videos on YouTube as well.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Good to see you, Nate. Bye.
Bye.